the node operator track of Shipyard Level 3 to be exact. Of course, there's 3 of them as explained in the initial masterclass of Level 3. So if you're here, you probably understand how important running a NIM node is. And of course, you're probably also at least looking to set up your own. And today I have Sarinko back to do just that. He's going to walk you through how to set up a mixed node. Is that right, Sarinko? How is it going?
Hey, hello everyone, and good to be with the squads, with the people who made it all the way here. It's just quite advanced state for all of us. I was just talking and backstage with Sudo about that it's been partly draining, but also gives a lot of energy to see how the community is growing into like organized squads, people running nodes and doing actual meaningful things, builders, and so on. So I'm happy to be here, and it's my honor to share a little bit of the stuff we've been working on and support people how to run that.
Exactly. I have to second that. It's really nice to see both the new and the old recurring members of the community popping up in these chats. So I see you, Noisk. Hey there, and also Rocio. Thanks for the good questions every single time. And on the note of questions, actually, there's going to be a Q&A today as well. Sarinko, since this is going to be a workshop, I thought maybe you wanted the questions as you go, or I can just collect them for later and answer them at the end. Which one would you prefer?
So let's do it like that. I'll be there's no presentation today. This is gonna be a live demo flow completely. Right, like 5 seconds before we started live stream, I've deleted everything I've had on a machine, so we're starting from bare scratch. So there can be many things can go wrong, but they will not. If you don't understand something I'm saying, I'm too fast, or I might not be right according to you, just say so. And Sudo, you jump in and ask for those. If those questions are more towards higher level incentives and stuff like that, maybe let's note them down, for later on. So I'll let you to judge that. Doesn't mean that some questions are more qualitative than the others, but as we going deep, we have to take lesson always to kind of be able to zoom in and not be all over the place.
Mm-hmm. All right. On the note of questions, let me repeat what I just said since people are still trickling in. So there will be a Q&A. That's the part to remember. We are going to be asking questions, some of them as we go and some of them at the end. I will try to decide which one is which, Sarinko. Hopefully I will be doing a good job. And I wanted to ask you to leave a bit more time for people to join who are still trickling in. When did you set up your first NIM node? Was it an easy experience?
Uh, when I did my first one, I made quite a few notes in my text editor in my like little document MD, and I saved it, and that became to be a part of my entry to NIM, and kind of was very nice to see Max approach and everyone else's, which was like my notes were humble in a way, like there is so much work being done, but perhaps from outside you don't understand, or people might not understand some of these things, and I brought a lot of questions. So I gave respect to what all the work being done, at the same time brought some reflection, and it was beautiful because Max was also very humble, and he was like, cool, and this is really what we need because you are still able to see it from the outsider eyes. So I hope I completely haven't lost that that scope. However, there might be more and more on operator side. So that's also why I was saying yesterday during the presentation that we very much welcome any questions. Sometimes you might not be able to answer them right away because those might be simply new for us as well, because we might not be able to see the forest for the trees. So yeah, my experience, it was pretty smooth, but I, as usual, I try to do it on self-hosted server, which it's not quite the thing, not quite a way to do that. So we will get into that as well. But yeah, it worked. But a lot of changes since that.
I also have to second this one because as part of my interview process back almost 2 years ago, I also had to set up a node, and I'm not technical at all. I mean, I am technical, but not with. I don't do well with the command line, so I was sweating bullets. It was really scary. It was a really scary task. I had to set up a mixed node and a gateway as well. So big thanks to Hans, by the way, if he happens to watch this at any point. Big thanks for his help. That basically ended up getting me my favorite job I ever had. All right, I think it's time for you to take it away, Sarinko. So I'm gonna be off screen. If there's any question that that seems to be relevant for the thing that you're actually doing, and not a general one, I'm going to be jumping in and asking you. If people are asking for, maybe for you to be a bit slower or whatever, I'm also going to be jumping in. But for the vast majority of the thing, this should be your screen and also your terminal window being shown to people. And remember, guys, Serinko just nuked his install of the NIM node, so it is going to be a genuine setup process. Take it away, Serinko.
All right, hello everyone. Again, for those of you who came a bit later, I'm Serinko. You can check what we actually talk about, how it works, what are the updates in the past masterclasses me and others have given. I'm not going to name and refer to all of those. I usually do that, but just go through the shipyard videos and check that out. We do not have time, neither the scope to go into all of that now. We will literally zoom in into spinning up a node on your own, or as a squad if you wish. First of all, I'll say two things, and that's everything which I'll be saying has been documented in this book, which is right in front of you, NIM Operators Guide. You can find it on nimtech.net/operators. That's all. You will always find this wiki there. We do our best, I do our best to keep it with the dynamic changes, which has been around, especially Smoosh. Check yesterday's video on what Smoosh is and what changes are coming on exit gateways and NIM node. Sometimes can be a few days behind, but never hesitate to ask and never hesitate to come and critique if you don't understand something in these documents. Because if you don't understand something which is written there, as Sudo said, it might be scary, maybe you new to command line stuff and so on, but it's not your fault. You do need some basic CMD literacy, but if you don't understand particularly what's happening, or like maybe not what's happening, but if you don't get the steps from the documentation we have, it is our fault. So always come back to us and ping with questions, bring reflection. Might not change right away. We put them on issue, create issue and stuff, create PR, but we will change that. And don't be scared to say you don't understand anything. It's more of a problem on NIM core, NIM DevRel side of things than on your own. So with that put away, I also expect that right now, everyone who's in here has already set up some machine on which you're gonna run your node. It is very tricky, and for most of the cases, it's not gonna work well on a local self-hosted machine, unfortunately. I want to make sure that we're gonna tackle that with time, because I think it's quite important for people being able to spin their own machines. But some VPS provider might be a better solution for that. In books, I believe in FAQ under mixnodes, we have some listed if you want to have a look, because we also try to make sure that people don't go to the few biggest ones out there. I'm not even going to name them to make like a bad commercial or something, but basically most of the internet is running through a few companies' hardware, and we want to prevent that. I mean, part of decentralization is about getting out of the machines which are in hands of few companies in the world. With that said, I'm not gonna be saying how to set VPS, and that's it's also out of scope. So I hope people have a machine ready. You can do it locally if you wanna just follow the flow. It's not gonna really work for a long time, but you also can just open your terminal and do that. If we're gonna look into the machine you see in front of me here, there is, maybe I'll just do a simple thing. There is nothing in my home directory. I don't have no repository. So we will start with getting the repository. There is two ways how to go about it. I'll jump straight to building from source, because that's what takes longer time. And then we'll go building from binary. Meanwhile, the source is building, okay? Things aren't working for me for some reason. Okay, here we go. Here are some prerequisites which you need to have on your machine. Get those. That should be fairly quick. I usually use some Linux distribution. My machine Debian-based can be, so you'll get easy, apt packages. If you insist on being on Manjaro or Arch, going with that, macOS as well. Everything's
Rinko,
there. Yes.
one question that I think is a good one to answer now. What are the system requirements? Thanks for the question, by the way, Echo Igor. What are the system requirements of an IM node? Not sure whether you were about to cover that or not.
Yeah, sure. Very little right now. For it might get bigger, and we will see. We need to do a lot of testing, but you can get basic machine. You can get 2 cores, 4 cores, 2 CPUs, something like that. You can get it all over the place for up to $20 a month, usually 10, something like that. That will do right now. If you on a VPS, which gives you an option to make it larger later without nuking everything down, you can start budget, and it's not terribly demanding as of now.
All right, sorry for stopping you like that.
No worries, do it anytime. So I'll expect people have these prerequisites and have your Rust, okay? Get it from source like that, have cargo installed and Rust up update. I do have that on a machine. I didn't nuke it completely, but I nuked the repository. I myself like to also add to this apt install few more things which I like to work with, like a Vim editor if you don't have it automatically, or NeoVim. I like to get there directly Tmax, which is a terminal multiplexer in which you basically can have like multiple shells in one. And also if you close it without closing the session, it will keep running on a machine. So you can kind of like, detach your session. It's not going to die off. I think those are like bases. And then we can go directly in, getting the whole Nimtech Nim repository. If I'll be playing with some servers, doing some sysadmin work, I would set up users here, I would set up subdirectories, I would set up permissions. But to be honest, I'll go with this machine in kind of Unix philosophy. I want this machine to do one thing and one thing only. Well, it kind of sounds like killing Nazis, right? Like you've seen that movie. No, this machine is gonna only run a node. So I'm not gonna be bothering with setting up users, setting up permissions on this. I'm in root. I'm not gonna do subdirectories. I'm just gonna blast it straight from root and have nim repository in there. So I'll put git clone, string, gonna get it meanwhile. This is gonna be fairly fast unless your internet super slow. That's not actually the long work to get the directory. You see, it was a few seconds. And as we go through that, we can skip these things because it's in case you made any changes on your branch. Check out before, make a reset. We didn't none of these things, so we can after we change directory, we can check out to master. Why is that? Because on master we keep the newest releases. Because if I will have a look, if I go to nim, I'll have a look on which branch I'm at. We are in develop, because that's where people work at. That's the baseline. So we check out to master, and we pull to the master as well. I believe it should be up to date. Yeah, it was up to date, of course. So when we're there, that's when the newest releases are, and here's the link to have the mainnet configuration. I'm gonna do everything on mainnet. I'm not gonna be on testnet. It's not really needed. Even for bonding, nim token's fairly cheap. It will take us 100 nims. What is it today? $15. I don't know. I assume the people who made it all the way up here wanna run their nodes. You can always also unbond and stuff. It's not really gonna cost you anything to run it on mainnet. So cargo build -- release. And this is when the fun starts, because we're compiling and we're building the entire nim platform. Okay. I'll open in Tmax another pane. Meanwhile, because this is gonna take a bit. This is the heavy part. If you have taken too weak of a machine, which will error on that, will fail to do building. I have another machine like that where I run a gateway network requester. Well, then we have here the second example, and that's pre-built binaries. So I'm gonna do both, show how we built the entire repository and also how we use the pre-built binaries. One, we're gonna do a gateway, the new smooshed exit gateway, when we're gonna run a mixnode and bond it. From here, you get linked to the GitHub release page. I open a new window and go straight there. So I'll take from, there were no changes on gateways. There's no gateway in the last release. I take from this one. That's when the exit gateway with the exit policy was introduced. And what you do, you click on that. You choose in any releases, any binary you want. I'm choosing gateway from Kinder. Again, it's up to you. And you click on that and you copy link. You go back to your machine, and maybe this time I'll make a subdirectory. I'll make directory. Ooh, some strange stuff. Maybe binaries. Just to have a little bit order in that. Oh, but I made it in nim. There shouldn't be a problem. I could delete it, but I'm not gonna be deleting in the repository meanwhile it's building. So in my home, I'm making directory binaries. Just for my order, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I'm going in that. When I'm in binaries, I'm gonna run wget and the link to download that gateway. You see it's fairly fast. It's one binary build. So these are two options. On the left, we see it takes longer, but I'm building all the entire NIM repository, all the platform. On the right side, I go to one particular binary which I want to run. Meanwhile, we're building on the left. I will be continuing here on the binary. We can have a look at it here, NIM gateway. What we're gonna do after you came out is there a question or something? No. And by the way, sorry for the layout. I tried to make the Tmax a little bit more amusing with some like ugly Dracula sort of theme, but I hope you can deal with that.
No, I just changed the layout so that your screen is a bit bigger. Hopefully this helps people see it a bit better.
I can also zoom in if it's needed.
Let us know, guys, in the chat if the text is big enough, and we can have Sarinko zoom in.
Anyway, people often ask like, what version do I have? Because you don't see it here. You're like, version 2023 Kinder. What is that? Here's just some gateway. That is not the version. Okay, that's the release versioning. That's the release name. But we can't keep all the nodes being on the same version all the time. Sometimes it bumps because, like you could see now, only Nimno, the mixnode, came out. So you can't sync it for the sake of making it easier. So the version is easy to get by executing command. Maybe I show first all the commands actually. And guess what? Is this gonna work or not? We don't have time for you all say yes, no, but you can tell yourself it's gonna work, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Permission denied. That's very simple because every time you get something like that, the whole binary, you're gonna run comma plus x and point to the binary you wanna give the permission. Now we run the help command, all of a sudden it's working. Okay, so now we are in gateway and we see what are all the commands in there. Again, I can see that. I can refer back to our documentation. We already went to the nodes, to gateway. You will find that as well here, and some of those explained. Here. Okay, it's the same thing, same output. This is a live, in a backend, it's always running live, so it's actually generating the output for you. It's not like we copy-pasted it there for once and then it gets old. So to get to the version before we all start, where I find version. Node has a current version, first thing after few, information on top. We put some information, some disclaimers and stuff. So here, right under that, we can look on current version, 1.1.31. How I find if my gateway is of such version, you can see here command build info, show build information of this binary. So anytime you want, and you have a binary or you have a node in build in platform, run build info. And you see that build version is 1.1.31. Okay, it also prints up here. If you let the banner, you can do, you can have all of those without banner. We have a flag for that. That's not important now. So you want to compare these two. You want to compare the version with the current version. Okay, don't get confused by the release names and stuff like that. That's more for developers and for having milestones for people to understand when was what with changelog and so on. Okay, given we have the newest gateway, which is really nice, we gave it permission for that to work. We will initialize that. And now the fun comes, because we're gonna go with the newest stuff which just came out, and that's to create initializing exit gateway. So I could take this entire command. If I agree that I'll connect a network requester to that, and I'll run it with our new exit policy flagged true. That means, real quickly, and please refer to the video yesterday, that we smooshed network requester and gateway into one node already. And also we have changed from kind of narrow allowed the list, where you had those few applications which anyone can connect through SOX5 client, or name connect, which is wrapped around an application wrapped around SOX5 client. You can connect, it checks the host, the domains on the allowed list, the host names, if they're on there. And there's just quite a few of those. You can make your own and add anything you want, but we basically switching into new exit policy, which again, read on that. You find it down here in legal forum exit gateway, and also in FAQ project smoosh FAQ. Please do your reading, but basically we combining Torno exit policy with the Tor list of policies. Basically check if it's on a denied list, but then if it's on allowed ports, then anything else can go to the internet. And that's a node that's a feature of name mixnode, feature of name VPN, and also the most incentivized nodes in the future. However, they are not as of today. So if I could do that just straight like this, put the link, copy the command. Of course, I need to change my ID. I'll give this one test just for the sake of it, okay? And I'm setting everything on with network requester and with exit policy too. Run that. Brilliant. And we have a gateway. Here you got quite important info. Again, it prints you the version. You could have seen that we used up here a command, curl -for https ifconfig.me. Basically what it does, it takes the public IP address. So you don't have to be looking for that one, even though it should be usually pretty straightforward. But it's an automatized variable, like a bash command, which takes the IP address for you and fill that up. So you can see that the bind address is actually here. All the other things are pretty straightforward. ID, what it is basically a name you choose. It's up to you. You can call it any way you want. I believe it must not have spaces. I would not put spaces myself, just make one single word. And that's not a description, okay? It's just your ID for a local config. It's nothing for describing the gateway. It shows us ports, it shows us stuff on which ports it runs. And we see that network requester is enabled true. We have a path to it. Again, I run everything on root. We get identity key, encryption key, and the address of the network requester. That one is important, because if I would now run that, I'm not going to just yet. This address, if I want to run my own client locally through that gateway, this exit gateway, I know that to the flag provider, namesox5 client ID, init ID, and then there is the provider, I believe, you put this address. And then you spin up the SOX5 client, and then everything will run through your end network request on that gateway, so you know that you are running through the exit policy. But there's a few things before we make it run. We just recently also had we're gonna have changed the words, you know, the way how the gateways are functioning. So that there is a link. A lot of that stuff is actually in maintenance, with firewall configuration and WSS on your gateway and stuff. So I'll go directly to the maintenance page. We need to keep it separate. You can't just have like, ABC kind of like as I'm talking, because it would be kind of mess. So we have it under maintenance, and there's a lot of stuff. So configure your firewall. That's one thing we'll need. Whether for mixnode, gateway, and network requester, we need to open ports. Okay. So you might want to check if you have UFW. It will return you a version. I don't need to run it with sudo because, again, I'm a root. I do have that. I can do EFW status to see what nodes I have open. And you see I have a bunch because I'm not new on that machine. But if you don't worry about that, you basically enable it with this command. I'm gonna do it even though I don't have to be keeping pace with you all. It's active and enable on system startup. Sometimes you might need to restart it after, but before you do that, and I don't think you have to, by the way, but sometimes hard to say. Then you allow for the ports which you will need for mixnode, gateway, network requester. Since we're spinning up exit gateway, it has network requester in it, and we also will spin up mixnode. We take them all. Again, I'm not using sudo. I'm a root myself. It's skipping adding some rule because the rules are already, if I look on my status, there is quite some active nodes. You see that some are anywhere, some are on IP version 6. So that's off the table. That's system wide. So this will be needed for all the nodes we will be running. You can always check the status again. And what I'm also gonna go at is to spin up a new gateway on with the configuration as it's gonna be coming up. Because if I would have a look on the init help, it's always, you can take any command. So if you do just help, as I did before, it shows you the commands. But then you can pick any command and do run help flag on that command. I made a mistake. Oh yeah, typo. I run gateway init -- help. That prints me everything what init commands can do, all the flags and how that works. So looking at that, I'll start from scratch and I'll do in gateway init, that's for sure. ID but shipyard exit gateway. Okay. And then what flags do we have here? Listening address, public IP. So you see that before it took -- host, we still have it in documentation as well. But from now onwards, because it works, you've seen it, it did work. The init command created new gateway. Does anyone know why the cursor is so annoying? I'll put it out if you want. Actually, I don't need a mouse for the command line. There is a flag listening address and public IPs. So if I refer back to the documentation, VSS on a new WSS on a new gateway, we can read about that here. You can do your reading. You can read about that here as well. Listening address, the listening address on which the gateway will be receiving Sphinx packets and listening for client data. And public IPs is a list of IP addresses that will be announced to the NIM API and to the clients. That will be, in most of the circumstances, identical to the address you're gonna be bonding with. So we have a little change in here because I'm gonna run this instead of host, which I ran before. And on top of that, I'm gonna add where were we? The network requester and the exit policy we were talking about. So I'm gonna initialize it with all that newest setup, which is just like coming out of from the devs. So I'll add these two flags as well. I could have written them down. For me, it's easier to copy. So what I have here now, I have NIM gateway in it to initialize a new one. I decided to call it shipyard exit gateway. I'm putting listening address to zeros. I think the quotation doesn't have to be there, but it will work. I'm adding -- public IPs, which is gonna do the trick with pulling the public IP. I've already spoken about that. And that one I'll be also using for bonding if I'll be want to bond them. And I'll add -- with network requester because I want to have a new network requester, and -- with exit policy true. So this is the newest setup you can initialize an exit gateway with the way how that's gonna go from now onwards. And you see the gateways initialized. It's there. We still have allow list in case I would disable the network the exit policy. We have also unknown list. I could be talking at length how you can spin a network requester. Things which aren't allowed go to the unknown list, then you copy it to allow list, delete from unknown list, restart is gonna work. But it's not important because we want people to be using the new exit policy instead of the allow list, which will be just deleted rather soon. Again, referring to the talk yesterday because there's quite a lot of info on that. If I have that, I'm gonna run that. Oh, sorry. It's responding slow to me because I'm on a VPS obviously, so it I have to be writing more carefully to not to get into these mistakes. We can check what run does because that's what we're gonna do. There are options. We already put listening address. We already put public IPs. Hostname is optional. I'm not gonna use that. Mix ports, they are already chosen if I'm not gonna do anything with that, and so on and so forth. You can study that. You can ask any questions. Open proxy, I think, might be also taken out. Maybe not, but basically with the new exit policy, you don't need and want. It's kind of risky to run open proxy. Maybe for some testing and so on with exit policy. But we have all of those already set up on init. And because we initialized with that, we will run it just with setting the ID, which was, I believe, shipyard exit gateway. Why the hell in live demo I made it so complicated? Let's see. It's printing so slow. This is hilarious. Okay, we got a problem that something's been running on. I might have an old. I might have an old node somewhere running in the back on systemd. Let me check that out. It's good. We crashed into a problem. I'm not big in systemd myself, but I don't want to be kind of like dogmatic when setting up a node on a remote machine. So I think it's it's kind of fine to just go with that because it's easier. It's not any like massive risk or something. VPS and system automation. System D, here we go. Because I'm not big on that, I also don't remember all the commands automatically. There must be something like stop or something. System D reload. This is on. And ulimit, we will set that up. That's good. We've seen that. For mixnode. You might have this problem. Okay, let's see if it's gonna work now. Yeah, that was the problem. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. We've so what happened here is that I've run all of that before this demo if it's gonna work on this machine, and I created automation, and in the back of systemd I spin up a mixnode. Then I've deleted all the repository, I've deleted the config of a systemd, but I forgot to reload the daemon and I forgot to stop the node. So however, I didn't have the repository as you all could see because we've just built it now. Really nice. In the back, my old mixnode was still running. What happened here is we spin up a gateway. It's an exit gateway. We have identity key, Sphinx key. The bind address will though be the public IP. You will be binding to that for the bonding. We enabled network requester to it. We have the path. We have the identity key of that network requester within the gateway. You can see that the path to the network requester config is also under the gateway. So it's in home.name, just like any configs, /gateways/ID. This is the thing I've chosen. /config/network requester config.toml. That's where the network requester itself lives. Meanwhile, the gateway itself is also under config, but it's just config.toml without, /data network requester. So we built basically two nodes within one binary, and that's the trick of Smoosh. We're gonna very soon be coming into one binary building all the nodes. And it was our choice whether we want to run just gateway or we want to connect the network requester to it, and whether we want to have exit policy enabled or not, which I've chosen yes, for the sake of showing how the exit gateway is gonna run. Okay, fast forward. You could have checked on gateway more. If you already have one and you want to change the setup, it's not that difficult. We have everything documented on gateway setup, initializing exit gateway. So we have also add network requester to an existing gateway. So if you already have one, you see it has command to do so. With help, it will print you how to do that. Or if you already have gateway and you have added network requester, but you haven't added the policy, you can also enable it with doing little changes in the config here. Okay. Just check gateway here on the side. Go through that. You got here the menu. I see that the time has been pressing, so we're gonna go into. And I'm not gonna bond that. I'm not gonna, in the jurisdictions I'm right now, I'm not gonna live bond and exit gateway and just like run it with with a full out there like this. I will have to do a little research how it works in this jurisdiction and so on. So you're still waiting online because it's waiting for me to bond. I'm stopping the process. Here we are in MIM repository, and we're gonna build from the repo, we go to target, release, this is what we have in the release folder. Now, after we've compiled the repo with the cargo build, release. And you see we got a whole bunch of stuff in here going on. So we're gonna spin a mix node. We already know that we start something with init, so I'm already printing my help for init. What do I need? I need ID, I need host, and there are other things which, again, those by default will just work out. So I'm gonna make a mix node with ID. This is just for myself in the end, so it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll put, I put this word the other day, Margi, as a POAP, which is a very beautiful word, the first documented word for freedom in Higher Mesopotamia in Sumerian language, referring to the life outside of Sumerian city-state. Why not to call our node like that? ID Amargi, host, and then check it out. You can, again, use the same command we've used before. So you don't have to be looking for your public IP. You just blast that command in here. So name mixnode init. I created a name for myself for my config, host. This should work. And as I said before, we got mixnode version 1.1.33. Rather than going to forums and ask who knows what's the latest version, now I go to the book and I see current version is the same. So this is pretty simple, straightforward. There's one thing two more things I might want to do before I actually bond the node. First, I'll try to run it if it even works. So I'll do like a test run. I mean, you can run it and stop to run it before you bond it as many times you want. After you bond it, you don't want because it's gonna mess up your routing score. And again, this is just run ID. I made it simpler this time. Starting mix node. Look at that. It's printing all these messages, all green info, no errors. It gave me also important stuff, identity key and Sphinx key. I'll actually this time keep the identity key somewhere. It might be useful. I hope it actually copy. I don't know how I have set up the tmax. It's saved in config as well, but I just wanna keep it easy accessible for me. I like to make my notes. Okay, that didn't work. I don't have this kind of sucks because how are we gonna be bonding? It's this tmax has some setup which is not friendly to me. I'll have to set up bonding differently on keys. Okay, whatever, don't mind that. We're gonna figure out later when we need that actually. Let's get out of here so it's not confusing. The problem what I try to do is to copy the identity key but the setup of my terminal doesn't really allow that. Just this simple. I'll later when we need it figure out how we need to do that. So it works. I'll stop it here. Why is that? Because I know already now that I want to run it for real. I will want to have it automatized. I want to not run into any errors. So before you bond, I'll tell you pause here for a little bit and let's do a few steps before we get to it. So first of all, I'm gonna go to the same directory here. We want to describe it. Okay, so the community knows what node we're running. So I put describe ID. I'm running the same node, but I want to give a little bit more information. And those are the informations which, after we bond that, will show on the Explorer. They'll be seen for the world. Name. Okay, I choose to display it. You can choose another name. You can choose any name of your node you want. Description. Shipyard class demo mix node. It's kind of silly, but what can you do? Link. Well, what link we gonna give? We can give it a shipyard link. That's not the one. Oh yeah, this is gonna work. Operator track. Okay. I'm gonna put this one, which we all following. That's why you're here, right? Mintech.net learn shipyard operator track. Location. The node I'm running is in actually Mumbai, India. Hello from Mumbai, everyone. That's all. It's described. I will also, before I bond it, I'll make a little automation. What that means is that I'll check maintenance here. We've been there already because I had to stop it. Actually, you've seen before. I had it a problem from the past. And again, check NoHub, check Tmax, which I'm running as default. Go to systemd. Here is a systemd service file to automatize your mix node. That means that I'll open, I'll create a file in etc systemd system mix node service. So I'll create such text file and I'll add this info in there. And you can see that there is quite a few things you gotta change. This is the version. To be honest, I'm not fully sure it automatizes with environment. I'll just take it off for now for simplicity. User. It's your user on which you're running your machine. I'm root with two O's, okay? Limit no file. This is important. Keep it as default. It's pretty high. We will get into that in a second. Why is that and how it works? And then you need the exact start path. If you don't know that, this is why I left another thing. Go where your node is located, where the binary. In this case, I've built it so it's in target release. But you need the full path. So what you do, you go there and you run pwd print your working directory, which will, as you all know, I apparently cannot copy in my own terminal. I mean, on a terminal on this machine. So I'll rewrite it like back in day. Root name target release. Okay, that's user path, home user path, blah blah blah. That's where I have slash name mix node. That's what I have. Run. We've seen it works. And ID. Exchange with your ID. Again, that's the thing you have chosen, not the one you described. Those might be two different names. Whatever you describe. Whatever is in your config, it's your local on that VPS config. But my ID was Amargi as well. And that's it. Okay, description, name mixnode, yada yada. I call it name-mixnode.service just as it's in documentation. I save this file. And remember, limit no file, 65,536. We will get into that in a second. I saved that one. So we've created a systemd config for our node. That's sweet. Before we run that, we will have a look on, and of course, yeah, that then you need to enable it. That was that's gonna be somewhere in the bottom. Yeah, systemctl enable the mixnode service. First reload. So the daemon will pick up the new config, reload it, enable the service. All good. So now our new config is part of systemd, and we can start it with service mixnode start. I'm not gonna do that just yet, because one thing I wanna do is make sure that my ulimit is set up, because by default, on most of systems, we have 1024 open files at a time. But mixed nodes running in parallel, doing as many threads as possible with all the Sphinx buckets, they need to receive a lot of connections from the other nodes and send a lot of connections. So we need to change, if we have default ulimit. I've changed it, I believe, now by the exact node file which I was showing, but we can easily check that. We scroll down here, query ulimit of your node. Okay, you take this command for Nimix node, 51 times pressing. We put this command, but of course you see there is a variable which I need to change, and that's this node, nim dash mix node. All right, that didn't work. Try from home. Interesting. I might have delete something, or maybe I would have to actually start it first. So I'll try to start the I started the mixnode. You can check it with status. It's running. Hope it's gonna. This is what was the problem. Yeah. Okay. So the problem was, okay, I was trying to measure how many files are allowed for something which was not running, and it's great. I cannot follow just like some written notes. One has to always think a little bit, which is sweet. So my limit is fine. My limit is 65,536 because I've set it in that config before, which I was showing to you in the automation of the systemctl. In case you are even more dogmatic than me and you would not run systemctl systemd on your VPS, well, congratulations, I'm all into free software. Then you can check it by there was somewhere down here. Yeah, ulimit A, where the N will be showing you, it's set the ulimit on non-systemd based distributions. This is something you need to do before you run your node. So if you have non-system distribution, ulimit space dash A, this is for general service, because we have already seen that my service for the nim mix node has a lot, 65,000 something. So here is the dash n. It's already, because I've changed it before. If it wasn't changed, if it showed me something like 1024, the way how you change it, which I just did, is with this command. Okay, max user process. So I've changed the command. I can have a look, and you can see that n is on 4,000. That's enough for the mix node to work. But you definitely cannot make it work on 1,000. Basically, what's gonna happen is it will start to work. It will be mixing. It'll be doing its work, but eventually it will run into the limit, and it will start to crash, and it will start to give you errors. Hence, bad routing score, no active set. And you start a whole bunch of problems. One thing what I really like, and we might go a little bit over time, but I'm literally finishing here, is to put journal CTL it kind of prints me what's happening in the back. That's why I'm like on system D. Some people actually do like it. I don't. That you don't see it daemon like automatically. You have to, run a command for whatever's happening to be printed for you. So you put this journal, and as you see in it's node.service, so it's gonna be nym mixnode service. Yeah. Hopefully. And what I see here right now is the same thing which I would see if I would be just running the mixnode without systemctl. So I kind of like that because it gives me, it just doesn't have the fancy colors. There's probably some flag how you can have them as well. You can see them up here. There's a reminding of that preview when we tested the node. But basically, this is a live stream of what's happening on the mixnode running as systemctl service. That's how I like my mixnode to be set up. Now the mixnode is running, except it's not bonded. It cannot be active. It cannot be seen. And that's the very last thing we need to do. This is gonna be a bit tricky because I cannot. But I wonder how I copy in here. Anyway, I need to somehow get out my identity key. Good thing about running init, that's how you upgrade your node. We have documentation maintenance on that as well. How you upgrade your node is basically you pull the repo again, you rebuild the repo from master, or you pull the new binary in respectively, and you reinitialize with the same ID. That's not gonna rewrite your keys. That's only gonna, change whatever you've changed, aka version and so on, but your key is gonna remain the same. It checks the config if it's in there. If it's in there, it's gonna keep the keys of that. So to get the information, I will, I need host. I'll reinitialize my node because I'm stressed with time and want to get the key. Here's the command. Basically, why I'm fooling with all that stuff is because of the setup of this terminal in this VPS. Didn't let me copy before. So okay, this is the identity key I'll need. How it did. It's swapped. Okay, I'm moving through it now. Okay, this should be it, believe it or not. Great.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Does that mean I should jump back in, or are you still showing something?
You can jump back in. I'm gonna just save this key. Before I drop it from it's not fucking in there anyway. I have some problem here. I will have to rewrite it. Anyway, you can be asking meanwhile what we're gonna do. It's the last thing, and that's bonding. Where the bonding is, I'm very sorry for this. I haven't figured out that I can't copy even with the classic Tmax shortcuts, which I usually use. You would run. Meanwhile, you have your wallet open. You would run this command. And I'm not gonna. I need the payload message, as it say. So I'll need my wallet, which I've prepared. I've prepared with some name. I'll go for bonding. I can try to rewrite it. It's gonna take like a few seconds, but it's gonna be boring. And here we select, and again, check Hook's video how to do that. But here, I basically need to get this string, which again, I don't think will just work. I don't think it'll be there, to be honest. No. Maybe I can do it like this. Okay, if you have questions, ask, and I'll meanwhile rewrite this string like back in days. Never ever do rewrite strings, especially in crypto. Okay, this is something that if I would have the time, I would actually open documentation. What's the problem on my Tmax? Why it's not working really?
And that's how you see in real time, folks, why I'm not really good friends with any command line based stuff. Like I said earlier in the beginning of the beginning of the talk. Now let's make a deal, Serinko, because we will. I mean, I will definitely have to jump over to our next workshop, which I'm going to be talking about in a bit. But we have as usual, and thanks for the many great questions, community. We have a ton of community questions. So how about going with this list that was gathered here in the usual place for us, and then answering it on Matrix so that we can finish on time.
Yeah, and we have to quit, or people who want to stay can like finish this here as well.
Okay.
I'm asking.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
Do we have to quit, or people who are like willing to be here like 10 minutes overtime without you can do so?
We can do that, but then you will have to share your secret phrase, if you remember that still.
You want to share the secret phrase? I see. By the way, I got the identity key.
You know what? Actually, I think it's fine to push back the I mean, a lot of the people who will attend that are already here in the audience, so let's just do. We have another 10 minutes, okay, and then.
Give me 10 minutes, okay. That's amazing.
Okay. All right.
So. Meanwhile, I figured out because I just opened it out of Tmax from another machine, and you don't see that on screen because it's my home terminal, and I don't want that. But you can see that I've been pulling basically the same things here. If I would put this to the side. .1.33. Okay, we can go real quick. It's starting 8V VB because I don't wanna do one thing to say never ever rewrite strings and then do it myself. That'll be ridiculous on video live, which is gonna be stored forever. So no, I did not rewrite anything. I open it on another screen which you don't see from my home machine. I run it from a Bash terminal, and you can have advanced option, but this is all automatic. So I filled everything I need. You can see it in this configuration. I go next, and then amount. How much do I have? I'll bond it with 150. Let's blast it a bit. Operating cost. I'll put a little higher because NIM went down. I think they should put the limit lower. And profit margin, I'll put this to get fair pay for the machine, but profit margin I don't need 10%. 0 is kind of scammy. 10% is the default. What in between? 5. And that's something you shouldn't change later on. And again, there is another videos on that from Huxian. But I think watch out for if you put on node and the node starts to be changing all these prices, they should try to communicate. Of course, the price of the operator, NIM token went down, maybe electricity goes up or something, for the operating cost. Profit margin, no one should be touching that unless they say, hey, now we're going to be starting, as Daniel was talking about, we're starting this great community grassroots project and we're actually making the node to print money for that. Well, if you're outspoken about that, put it to your description, and then that project on their webpage should have link to that node, right? There needs to be some like trust connection. But anyway, I put 5%. It's gonna generate me a message. I'm back in here. Contract message. I paste the message in here. Oh, but now I'm not gonna be able to bloody. Okay, I can do it. I can do. You see it's existing, this command. But I couldn't be able to copy from that. This is so crazy. I'll run it on a side one again. ID contract message. Sign ID MRD contract message. And then copy the contract message. And I'm doing that once again on a site to be able to copy it out. This is so ridiculous. You try everything, but then the smallest thing you would never think is not working, of course. Here you have the contract message, 5E, this thing. It says everything about the node, and the contract message is that. So you need to copy that, which I'll do here on the site. The same one. Yeah, make changes under pressure is the hardest task of doing live demos. And next. Fee for this transaction, very minimal. If we take the one name, it's about 15 cents. It's 0.008 names. Let's YOLO. Now the transaction is gonna take a second. And basically, view on blockchain. This operation can take up to 1 hour to process. Yeah, why not to view it on blockchain? And I put done. Next time I go here, sometimes you have to re-click. It will show you the node, which will be here. And there's already, you get the node information. Here you get the key. Now I can copy it very easy. Here is the explorer. We got 2 explorers. There's also explorer name. But once it's bonded and it's running on, once it's confirmed, you can share the node with the community and, tell them, hey, we're running this node. You wanna, you wanna delegate on my node. If you can already find it. Might not be here just yet because of, the length of. Yeah, here we go. Here's our node on Mixnode Explorer. Sorry it took a little bit longer, but we have it here. So then all you can do is, come to the community and be like, hey folks, we started this node. The node operators, or there's also a room on Discord, live demo, mixnode. Just drop it there.
Actually, there are 2 places where you can promo your node. One of them is on Telegram. We have a delegators Telegram channel. You need to DM me on Telegram or Merv, and then we're gonna be forwarding your message. So just write your promo message, forward it to me or Merv, and it will appear on the delegators channel. And then also on Discord, there's a similar like node promo channel where you can fill out a form once every week. So we don't want people to spam, obviously. So you can only fill that once a week, and then you can promo your node. Now, with that said, apparently Sarinko, the stream got started without us, the other one. So I'm guessing quite a few people will want to jump over to that one, and also
Okay.
I will need to be there.
Are we finished here?
So really good job doing it live, man. My palms even are sweaty. So good job.
Yeah, if it was palms. Let's go.
As promised, Serinko, I mean, hopefully, I don't want to make promises or instead of you or like in your name, but hopefully you can answer all the community questions which were gathered here on the usual place for us on maybe the Matrix general chat. Is that fine? All
Yeah,
right,
I will
folks.
try, but we should also do Q&A. I think there is a little bit too many on different run nodes for this reason, for this reason. Maybe we should, one of them should be just operator Q&A AMA next week. We will talk about it in a back end, but let's
Definitely.
think about
We
it.
can. I was
And
just
these
about to
questions will
ask
be the
you.
first ones to answer.
I was just about to ask you whether we should do maybe a part 2 of this if you want, or just a Q&A. That's totally fine. We can set it up.
I'll do Q&A. I think that would be good.
Okay, cool. All right, so keep an eye out for that, guys. That will be added to the schedule at some point. We will see where we can fit it in. And now, real quick, I need to show you, of course, the secret phrase for today. Wait a second. Let me bring on my screen. There you go. So the secret phrase for this one is mycelium. I have to say, Serinko, your secret phrase game is absolutely top of the game. So you've been picking the best ones. Why did you pick this one?
Well, I've been thinking actually. I've been like last time I put Amargi, which was the name of the node today. I'm not gonna go back to it. I'm like, wow, the stakes are high, man. Like, what are we gonna put? And I'm like, well, mycelium. It brought life to Earth. It's been the first fungi's been the first living beings. They are completely clandestine. At the same time, they're everywhere. We breathe them. They are part of us. We part of them. And mycelium is this like under the ground connecting tissue of all that life, of a tree life, of a plant life. But it's also like ancient memory. Like these beings are beyond each of us, so we kind of like spores in that. And it really reminds me, like, we run nodes, we do for privacy, for anonymity, doing operators, making good services for that. So let's get a bit like philosophy from nature. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's beautiful. If we had time, as usual, I would be rambling on about a bit more about mycelium. It's a really beautiful topic, guys. Research it. It's absolutely magnificent. But now we actually have to get going to the next live stream, which I'm going to leave another link to. So if you're hardcore and you're doing more Trek than one, then it's your chance to also have a workshop with CGI Bin from No Trust Verify. Who is going to be giving an overview of how to build stuff on NIM. Big thanks for coming on, Serinko. Let's do the Q&A at some point. You can find the link to the the other live stream in the chat right now. Also, the usual claiming link to claim your POAP. You need to use this exact spelling, of course, mycelium as usual, and you have 15 minutes to claim. And if you're joining the next live stream, see you there. If not, then see you around in just a bit.
Yeah, thank you for sticking out with me during the mistakes, and be hardcore. It's once in a long time. It's a lot of information, but let's go to another video and check out CGI Bin. They are great folks, and sorry for the mistakes, but this is live demo and we've chewed through that. If you wanna, jump on this node, I put it in chat already, and see you around. Thank you very much.
Much love, Serinko. See you very soon. Bye, everyone.